Some stories don't feel like stories at all. They don't announce themselves. They don't ask for your attention. They just unfold, the same way real life does, quietly, imperfectly, and without a clear beginning or end. These are the kinds of stories that don't just entertain you for a moment. They sit with you long after they're over. They stay with you because they feel undeniably real. We live in a world saturated with content. We're surrounded by an endless stream of videos, an infinite scroll of headlines, and a constant barrage of noise. But most of it, if we're honest, is forgettable. It fades the moment we look away. Real stories, however, are different. They don't rely on shock value or manufactured drama. They don't need exaggeration to hold our attention. Their power comes from something much deeper, recognition. It is that quiet moment of connection when a thought surfaces in your mind. This could have happened. This could have happened to me. In a field like aviation, the most compelling real stories aren't defined by the spectacular disasters you see in movies. They are almost always defined by the opposite, by restraint, by timing, by a series of small, critical decisions made long before anyone else in the world even realizes they matter. These stories are about the quiet moments that prevent the loud ones. And every single one of these real stories begins in the exact same way, with routine, with the mundane, predictable rhythm of the everyday. You see passengers boarding a plane calmly, finding their seats, stowing their bags. You see a flight crew following procedures they have followed hundreds, maybe thousands of times before. Inside the cockpit, the air is filled with familiar sounds, the low hum of instruments, the standardized radio calls, the quiet clicks of switches. There's nothing dramatic, nothing unusual. It's just another day at the office, 30,000 feet in the air. Once the aircraft reaches its cruising altitude, a sense of stillness settles in. The engines hum a steady, reassuring tone. The sky stretches out, a vast and peaceful blue, endlessly outside the windows. This is where reality hides best. It hides in the calm, in the predictable, in the moments where nothing feels urgent. Because when everything is normal, nobody is looking for trouble. The first sign that something is wrong is almost never obvious. It's not a loud bang or a flashing red light. It's a sensation, a subtle shift in the rhythm of the machine. It might be a pause in a system's response that feels just a fraction of a second too long, or a slight, almost imperceptible change in the aircraft's feel. Nothing has failed, nothing has broken, but in that moment, a pilot knows something doesn't feel right, and that is perhaps the most uncomfortable place a person can be, because you can't justify immediate, drastic action yet. There are no alarms, no checklist to follow for a feeling. All you have is your awareness, a quiet, nagging intuition that the normal has been disrupted. You are alone, with a feeling that something is amiss, but you have no proof. Then, the situation begins to escalate, but not in the way you might expect. The instruments don't agree with each other, not enough to trigger a full-blown warning, but just enough to sow the seeds of doubt. One system says one thing, another says something slightly different. Real situations are messy. They are never as clean as the simulators. They don't follow the training scenarios perfectly. They exist in that frustrating, ambiguous gray space between what you know and what you suspect. This is the crossroads. Do you act early, based on a gut feeling and conflicting data, and risk being wrong, risk causing unnecessary panic or a costly diversion? Or do you wait for more certainty, for a clearer sign, and risk being too late? This is where the real stories are written, not in the moments of explosive action, but in the seconds of hesitation, in the quiet, intense silence of the cockpit, in the space between action and inaction. And behind that cockpit door, there are people, hundreds of them, people living ordinary lives on their way to business meetings or family vacations or home. They have placed their trust in routines they don't understand, in complex systems they have never seen, and in critical decisions they will never even know were made on their behalf. This is when responsibility stops being a concept and becomes a physical presence. It's not a dramatic arrival announced with trumpets and alarms. It arrives as a weight, a pressure you can feel in your chest, in the shallowing of your own breath. It's the stark, isolating realization that no one else can make this decision for you. It all comes down to you, and this is what makes these stories feel so real. They aren't about lone heroes against cartoon villains. They are about ordinary people grappling with extraordinary responsibility for others who didn't ask to be a part of the story. Eventually, the waiting becomes its own decision, a choice by default. And in situations like these, doing nothing for too long can become the most dangerous choice of all. So, you commit. You make the call. Not because you are 100% certain, but because the weight of uncertainty has grown too large to bear any longer. You key the microphone and speak calmly to air traffic control. You act deliberately, moving with a purpose that belies the doubt churning inside. And in that moment, you accept that whatever happens next, the outcome will belong to you. Most real stories, especially in aviation, don't end with a fiery crash or a dramatic movie-style landing. They end quietly. They end with relief. The aircraft stabilizes. The conflicting instruments are understood and managed. The situation resolves itself, often without anyone outside the cockpit ever knowing a problem existed. There's no celebration. There's no hero's welcome. When the plane lands, passengers stand up, grab their bags from the overhead bins, and maybe complain about the slight delay. Life just resumes, and in a way, that's the whole point. The success of a real hero is often measured by how normal everything remains. Stories that feel real don't need embellishment. They don't need clear-cut villains or flawless heroes. All they need is honesty. They remind us that most of the truly important moments in our lives don't look important when they are happening. They are quiet, they are subtle, and they often pass by, unnoticed by everyone except the person at the center of them. They show us that the choices that truly shape outcomes are often made quietly in the background by someone who was simply paying attention when no one else was. That's why these stories stay with us. That's why they resonate so deeply, because they feel real. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more.